Wait a minute. Crinkle cardstock and embossing folders? I never thought to try it until someone left a comment on my white on white cards video saying, I bet that crinkle paper would look cool embossed. Now I have tested it with a couple of folders already, but I saved the rest for this video so we can find out together what works and what doesn't. I'm using my WausauPaper Crinkles Cardstock with a variety of embossing folders. Let's see if we get some fun new textures or just a hot mess. Hey everyone, it's Lean from ColoradoLean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. Let's go ahead and start our experiment today with the Cuttlebug Divine Swirls embossing folder and this beautiful light blue Crinkles cardstock. I have decided to bring my Sizzix die cutting machine front and center today, just so we can all see what's going on. Now I have deconstructed my plates. It was just a lot easier for the space that I have. Now with the Sizzix machines, you get your sandwich suggestions on each shim as well as the base plate. However, I found that it is important to check my embossing folder, my cardstock, and my sandwich, rather than always relying on what is here. My Sizzix is old, she is well used, and she doesn't work quite as well as she did when I originally bought her. So I have gone through, tested everything, and I have my sandwiches all prepared. For all of our Cuttlebug folders today, we are going to need our base plate. We are going to need shim number 1, our embossing folder with our cardstock, and then we're going to need 2 cutting plates. I have my scrapbook.com magic mat, and then I have a Sizzix cutting plate. Now it's always important to angle your embossing folders if you can, and that just helps it go through the machine a little bit easier. And let's see how this turned out. Oh, that is really nice. Now it's not a very deep impression, and I think that's because the old girl's a little tired. So I'm going to attempt to put this back in the folder, and I will lock that into place. Put my cutting plate back on. And then I'm going to put just a copy paper shim over the top of that. And I do apologize if everything kind of shakes and shimmies while I'm doing this. And that is a much better impression. I will definitely have close-up pictures over on the blog post at ColoradoLean.com. And because I can't see what I'm showing you right now, if this is not a good picture, then I'll insert one here for you. So let's move on to the next one. For this experiment, I'm going to be using the Cuttlebug Victoria folder with a piece of the green crinkle cardstock. I'm going to line that up, angle it on my cutting plate, place my second cutting plate on top, as well as a paper shim. Ooh, that is really pretty. I love that extra texture that you get with the crinkle cardstock, especially with this one, with the woodsy kind of floral pattern to it. Let's go ahead and do one more regular embossing folder. This is the diamond plate Cuttlebug folder. And I have a gray piece of the crinkle cardstock. Now this does have two different sides to it. One of them has more of a folded look to it. And I think for this one, I'm going to put the folded side up just to see what kind of difference we can get, or if there's a difference. So line that up, angle it, my second cutting plate and my paper shim. That is an interesting texture. Don't know where all that yellow is coming from, but yeah, I really like that. And the back has an interesting texture as well, and it's just slightly different. This would make a good addition to a masculine card. Oh, I like that one a lot. Okay, let's up the odds a little bit. I'm going to be trying the AlteNew Garden Rose 3D embossing folder. And as 3D embossing folders go, this is really thin, but it has a very amazing look to it. So our sandwich for this will be our base plate. We need shim number 2. And then we'll need our folder and our cardstock, and then one cutting plate. I'm going to go ahead and give this piece of crinkled cardstock a very light mist of water with my distress sprayer. I will be holding this about 8 to 12 inches away and spritzing it once, turning it and spritzing it again. And again, I am doing that off camera so I don't get my desk wet. This embossing folder is a little bit hard to go in at a sharp angle, but I can get a little bit of an angle on it, and that will help it. And there's that. I did get a little heavy on the water there. Again, as with the other folders, I think I'm going to put this back in and run it through again with that paper shim. This is kind of a light impression for this cardstock. I will again lock that into place. Maybe not. Oh no. See, I messed that up. One cutting plate. I'm going to put that way far away. Okay. So if, like me, you make a mistake with your sandwich and it's really tight, do not force it through. That can be very bad for your machine. It could be bad for your embossing folders. So stop, reevaluate the situation, and then carry on. All right. Let's see if I got that right. Oh, that's much better. Yeah. And again, I will have some really good pictures for you. And if it's not showing up very well here on camera, then I will include a picture. That is really pretty. All right. And I have one folder left. This is the Sizzix pinwheel folder. And we're going to put that on a very fun yellow cardstock. Now the sandwich for this is our base plate, shim number 1, our embossing folder cardstock, and then 1 cutting plate. And I'm just going to throw that paper on there to begin. Again, I'm going to give this a light mist and put that in the folder. And this one I ran through and back just to get a little extra pressure on there. That is so pretty. Now with this folder, I never know if I like the emboss side or the deboss side. I just can't make up my mind with this one. All right, I guess it worked pretty darn well. I am going to look through my embossing folders. I have one that is incredibly textured, and I just want to see how that one would work with this as well. So I'll be right back. I've grabbed one of the embossing folders from the Cuttlebug Oriental Embossing Set. This one has a ton of texture to it, and I'm really curious to see how this much texture is going to affect our textured card. As a quick reminder, the sandwich for Cuttlebug plates is the base plate, shim number 1, a cutting plate on the bottom, the embossing folder with the paper sitting at an angle, a second cutting plate, and then for my machine, I do need this paper shim. And that is very textured. Now, I can't see any of the texture from the cardstock, except here on the back. I can kind of make out the lines that are in the back of the cardstock. I showed that to you before. Here's another example of that. It's almost like the cardstock is folded a little bit in this crinkling process. And that is the only part of that texture that I can see on here. So that's very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. All right, I am going to clean up my mess, and then I'll be right back with you and we'll go over our final results. This experiment honestly turned out even better than I expected. Every embossing folder I tried, both regular and 3D, worked beautifully with the WausauPaper Crinkles cardstock. The added texture from the paper and embossing folder really complement each other and gives the paper so much extra charm. There was just one folder that didn't quite work. A super detailed design that was just a little too much. The embossing completely overwhelmed the paper's natural texture, so it kind of lost what makes crinkle paper so special. I want to send a huge thank you to the commenter who suggested this idea. It was such a fun experiment. If you'd like a closer look at each of the embossed samples, I've got clear photos of every design on my blog at coloradolean.com, and I'll link that post for you in the description below. If you're wondering how to use these embossed crinkle papers on actual cards, stay tuned. I've got a follow-up video coming where I'll turn a few of them into finished projects. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this little adventure, give it a thumbs up, share it with a crafty friend, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Happy crafting!